this lesson, we're going to work on a standard bluegrass and old-time fiddle tune called Cluck Old Hen. If you're just starting out on the fiddle, say you've just learned Boil the Cabbage down, this tune will be maybe slightly more difficult than that, but not much more. The only thing that will be different than, say, Boil the Cabbage down is that we have a new fingering. We have a low 2 on the E string, and I'll discuss that in the lesson. So the other thing that I'm introducing in this lesson is the slide. The slide is very much a part of bluegrass and old-time fiddling. It comes from the blues. That's part of that, both of those styles. What we're going to be doing in this tune is, and this is optional, this is something that you can add to the tune, is sliding from a low 2 to a high 2 on the A string, a low second finger position to a high second finger position, to give that note a little bit of a bluesy twang. So that, other than that, you know, it should be a pretty accessible tune for most beginners. Hope you enjoy the lesson, and if you have any questions, you can find me at ericonfiddle.com. That's ERIC on fiddle.com. And if you'd like the sheet music and the practice tracks that accompany this lesson, you can click on the subscribe link in the description below on YouTube, and I'll send those over. Hope you enjoy the lesson. Happy fiddling. In this tune, we're going to see a lot of low second finger position fingerings. If this is something that's new to you, here's a quick introduction. At your first fiddle or violin lesson, your instructor probably put 3 strips of tape on your fingerboard. Those fingerings that your instructor marked are the first finger position, the high second finger position, and the third finger position. So again, first, high 2, and third finger. Now, in addition to those fingerings, which may well be marked on your fingerboard right now, there is what we call the low 2 position. Now, when your second finger is in low 2 position, it should be pretty snugly up against where your first finger would ordinarily be. So that's low 2 that you see on your screen right now. Here's high 2, and that again corresponds to the second strip of tape that is probably on your fingerboard right now. So high 2, low 2. We're going to be dealing with a lot of low 2s in this tune. So in this preview of the A section of the tune, so you can see that whole first section of the tune, all of our second fingering positions are low. Now at the end of the A part, we have an option of sliding from low 2 to high 2 on the A string, and here's what that would look like. So we're just going to make a half step shift. Again, a shift from low 2 to high 2, and I'm keeping my first finger down there on the fingerboard for reference, so you can see how that second finger relates to the first finger position. It's super close. So just to play through the A section real quick, and we're going to break it down phrase by phrase in just a minute. Now in the B section, we're going to be visiting very briefly the D string. We're going to be playing a third finger on the D string. If you blink, you miss it. So our fingerings for the tune are from low to high, D3, open A, A1, low A2, A3, E, E1, low E2, 3, E3. And remember, in the A section, we have the option of sliding from our low A2 to our high 2, A2. So when you make that shift, if you decide to do this, watch your thumb while you do this, and make sure that your whole hand doesn't shift up with that note. What you don't want to have happen is this, because then you have to shift back down and it's going to be very difficult to get back in tune. So make sure that it's just your second finger that's shifting on that note. Okay, let's have a look at measure 1. In measure 1, we're going to start off with a down bow on an open E string, followed by E3, followed by E2, and then we're going to do 2 quick eighth notes with the same fingering, again 3-2. So to review, we have open E, E3, E2. Now we're going to repeat those last 2 notes, only faster. So let's play that together. Again, starting on a down bow and alternating bow strokes. So we have down, up, down, up, down. So we start and end on a down bow. One more time together on a down bow. 3, 2, 3, 2. Next measure, measure 2. Again, we start on an open E string. And again, we go to the E3. But we finish this measure differently. We go down to an E2 and we play a half note. So we're going to hang on that note for 2 beats. So we have an open E, E3, E2. Actually, we'll be starting that on an up bow. So let's play it together now, starting on an up bow. E, E3, E2. Measure 3. Starting on a down bow, we're going to again start on an open E string. We're going to go to an E3, down to an E2, and then we're going to repeat E3, E2 faster this time. That should sound familiar. It's exactly what we did in the first measure. So again, together. One more time. That brings us to measure 4, the last measure of this line. We're going to start on an up bow, open E. We're going to cross over to the A string and play an A3 to an A2 to an open A. So we're going to start that with 2 quick eighth notes. A longer note next would be a quarter note on an A2, followed by an open A, half note, 2 beats. Now, one little thing you can add to that last measure, and this is really a typically bluegrass thing to do, is to slide that A2 from a low 2 position to a high 2 position. So I want you to practice that. Practice just stopping short of the note that you're sliding toward the C sharp, the A2, in high high second finger position. Sometimes it sounds good when you're playing these sort of blue notes to stop short of the note that you're sliding toward. It adds a little bit of tension. If you slide with too much certainty toward that A2, that high 2 note, sometimes it sounds a little stiff. It sounds a little formal or something. I prefer to stop a little bit short of the note that I'm sliding toward, or sometimes starting a little bit sharp of the note that I'm sliding from. So for instance, here's our A2. I'll just start a little bit higher than that, and then slide right to the C sharp, right on it. These half-step slides in bluegrass are really, really expressive, so I encourage you to play around with those, see how many different kinds of emotions you can get out of those slides. You can make them sound kind of sort of sad and mournful. You can make them sound kind of sassy. Play around with them a bit. So let's review the A part of Cluck Old Hen. So we start on a down bow, open E, E3 to E2, followed by a 3-2, eighth notes, quick. Again, that's measure 2. We start on an up bow, open E, to E3 again, to E2, half note. We're going to hang on that for 2 beats. Then we go to, again, repeat the first melodic idea that we started with. Open E to E3, E2, to quick E3, E2. And finally we have our ending phrase starting on an up bow, open E, A3, A2, open A. So let's play that together. Again. This time, let's practice adding that slide. Again, that's going to be in the last measure of this line. We're going to slide from a low A2 to a high A2 or thereabouts. And again, practice kind of getting between those notes. Don't worry if it sounds a little bit out of tune. In this context, that sounds good. It can sound actually better than being perfectly in tune. So, from the beginning. Here comes the slide. Let's play that last measure together. One more time, the last measure together. Now let's play the whole top line again together. That brings us to the second half of the tune, the B part as we would call it. And we're going to start this section on a down bow. Starts off easy, just 2 open A strings. And then winding up on an A2, a down bow for 2 beats. So again, that's A, A2. Let's play that together. Pretty easy, right? Let's move on to the next measure, measure 6. We're going to be repeating almost the same thing. Again, 2 A strings, this time starting on an up bow to a down bow. Now we're going to cross over to the D string and play a D3 on an up bow. So we've got A, D3. Let's do that together, starting on an up bow. Next measure, starting on a down bow, we're going to play another open A, then 2 short open A's. Then we're going to go to an A2 on an up bow, and a quick 3-2 like we saw in the first section of the tune. Again, just that last half of the measure on an up bow. 3-2. 2-3-2. Now, if you've played a few fiddle tunes, have a couple of fiddle tunes under your belt already, you might recognize this rhythmic pattern. This pattern of 1 quarter note followed by 2 eighth notes. We call this a shuffle. The most common name for this shuffle, I think, is the Nashville shuffle. And a shuffle is really just any repeated rhythmic pattern that drives the rhythm of the tune. I'll just bow some A notes here so you can see how that works. So we have long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short, long, short, short. That accent doesn't have to be really strong, but you should feel it a little bit. Because what we're doing here is we're emphasizing the second and fourth beats of the measure. These are sometimes called the strong beats or the back beat or the chop beat. And if you're playing with a mandolin player or a banjo player, oftentimes they'll be playing what we call chop chords, these sort of short percussive chords on those beats, while the bass is playing the 1 and the 3. So you hear the bass going 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, and then on top of that, the mandolin or the banjo. I'll just pluck those chords on the guitar or on the on the fiddle. That's what I'm playing, a fiddle. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3. You get the idea. Starting on a down bow, we're going to play 2 quick eighth notes, followed by an A2. That's a quarter note. That's going to be 1 beat. And then on an up bow, open A. So we have an open E to an A3, A2, and a long open A. Let's play that together. One more time. Now let's review the whole B section together. Starting on a down bow. Now we're repeating and starting again on a down bow. Let's do that one more time. Now we're repeating and starting again on a down bow. If you'd like the sheet music and the practice tracks that accompany this lesson, you can click on the subscribe link in the description below on YouTube, and I'll send those over. Hope you enjoy the lesson. Happy fiddling.